And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the dog back with Lucky Locks picks for week 7. We're over halfway through this season of the Contender Series. It's been a pretty solid season, as we said last week, and continued to be. This past week was, a tougher card for some, but I think for the most part we avoided most of the landmines, and I think it was a pretty entertaining week. So I'm looking forward to bringing on this week. How you doing, Lucky?
I'm doing well. Yeah, you had a great week last week. I didn't make any bets last week, which proved to be very wise because I was
Yes.
wrong a lot of times
Mm-hmm.
last week. But what can you do when if you know when you don't know? That's a good thing. So
Right.
didn't do any damage to myself, and yeah, I thought it was a fun card, and I think this is kind of a fun card as well. So I'm excited to hear what you think about some of these fights.
Yeah, definitely. I think the volatility with the underdogs has kind of returned a little bit, and I honestly could see it continuing tomorrow. So, some very competitive fights, regardless here, and some guys who I've kind of been waiting for a while in a few of these fights to make the trip over here. Rafael Tobias, Bipolar, and Jai de Almeida, Mammoth. Not two of the guys. I'll be honest. Uh, Mammoth, I still don't know that much about because I can't find anything on him other than that he likes to talk a lot. There's like interviews with him everywhere. He's fought at heavyweight, and other than that, it's just Tapology kind of breaking down a guy who hasn't fought in a year and 3 months, knocking out a 3-5 guy. There's just not a lot here. It seems like he's being brought in for Rafael Tobias to style on in some way or another. Feels like it's going to end in a car crash with a knockout. If Tobias is smart, he just takes him down and MMAs him and submits him. I don't know how smart Tobias is or how much we'll learn about him here, but I don't know anything about Jair de Oliveira, so I'm leaving this completely alone.
Yeah, I mean Tobias is 22 and 13 and 1. So I mean that's pretty good. He's got a lot of fights at 22 years old. Pretty low level of competition though. He has one LFA fight. That was his one loss. He was 20 years old, so
Yep.
I'm not really going to hold that against him too much. He looks pretty athletic, pretty strong. He does leave his chin on a platter sometimes. He likes to keep his hands low, and that's what was going on in that loss, right? He just
Yes.
got absolutely smoked on the chin.
Mm-hmm.
That'll do it.
Yes.
So yeah, this other guy, Jair de Oliveira, was champion in 3 promotions that I've never heard of. And
Mm-hmm.
if you guys know me, I've heard of a lot of promotions, and
Correct.
I haven't heard of these ones. And so I think even lower level of competition than Tobias. And the guy fights at like heavyweight and light heavyweight at 5'9". And
Yes.
listen, if you're 5'9", you're not a heavyweight, you're not a light heavyweight. I hate to break this news to you, but that's the truth. And
Yes.
and much like yourself, I could barely find any tape on this guy either. Found a lot of podcasts with him on it,
Yes.
but not a lot of MMA fights. And I guess he's a Muay Thai instructor for his Instagram. But yeah, I mean, I'm with you. Like, what can you even really say about this? There's not really much to go off of. So give me Tobias, I guess.
Yeah, and it's minus 445, minus 330 to under 1.5. So I guess like if you want to take a gamble on it going longer than 7.5 minutes, God bless, but not worth it. All right, that's way too long to talk about that fight because I feel like this is a fight right here of two guys. Neither one, I hate to say it, as much as I've watched these guys for a long time, deserves to be here. I know that's not really a term that works in 2025, but only in 2025 MMA do we have a guy who gets styled on the feet by Chris McCate. Yes, that Chris McCate. Like styled on the feet. I get it's up at 155. Okay. Javier Reyes, I mean, he's against another guy of his level here in Justice Torres. This is a complete pick 'em to me. I'll just get it all out of the way right away because Javier Reyes, if he can get the takedown, will look like amazing. Minus 400. Like he's, I guess this is why he's 21-5, but there's the 5 there for a reason also. Like he does, when he doesn't get that takedown, he struggles a bit. I think on the feet, like Justin Torres could have a significant edge, which is really alarming kind of to say, because Justin Torres is no like amazing practitioner on the feet, but I think like if he's able to stuff the takedowns here, for like 4 years younger still, 32 and 28 essentially, these two guys, and they're an old 32 and 28 in my opinion. Like they've been around, they've been tested. These guys on a regional scene, and it'd be very close. I'm like confused why Reyes is this giant favorite aside from the 1 week's notice for Torres. Like that's definitely a big worry here. Torres to me doesn't seem like a guy who gets hugely out of shape, I guess you could say. So I feel like he's gonna still show up and be able to, put on a good performance here. I'm gonna take Torres to win a close decision. I don't think this is like, I don't see either guy really getting a finish. I think this one does go the distance. These are two kind of veterans of the regional scene as well. And, both guys should be fighting someone else. Like Javier Reyes was put here to lose to Brito. And now all of a sudden it's not like they're like, oh, we're in the Javier Reyes business. He got a pretty tough replacement. I feel like this is a replacement made for these guys to have to come back if one of them wins, because it's going to be like an unimpressive split decision, in my opinion. It might be a close fight. It might be entertaining, but I feel like Dana gets on after. He's like, you guys brought it. We'll have you back. We're going to test you against Brito at the end of the season when we figure out his visa. So, like, Reyes is keeping warm until he dies against Brito later. But I don't know. I'll take Torres myself, but there's not a bet as of now. But I mean, this number is pretty large because I think the 1 week's notice.
Yeah, I think that's a really good breakdown. I'm gonna probably echo a lot of what you're saying. Reyes, has a ton of experience, and he was champion in Matchmaker, which is a promotion in Colombia, and FFC in Peru, and he does really seem to struggle though when he moves up in level, right? Like you mentioned the Makate fight, Le'Veon Douglas, Mike Hamill. These guys are guys that aren't like unbelievably good, but it's just a little bit of a level, like that upper echelon of the regional scene. He struggles with, and his chin is in the air. And this is just a guy who's kind of average all around to me. He's not really terrible at anything, but he doesn't stand out to me. And Torres is kind of similar. He's popping into this one on very short notice, and I don't know what it's going to take to get Icaro Brito on the show, because he had issues, I think, with his visa again. I think that's what it was last time too, last year, that he couldn't get on. Then Robbie Ring was like the second replacement here. Now he's out. Now we got Justice Torres here off of Fury FC, and he won the featherweight title at Fury over Vilson Endragoni. I probably butchered his name. You know the guy I'm talking about, that Albanian guy. That's a pretty good win. And I think Torres is a wrestling base, but he's also a pretty good boxer.
Right.
I'm really not opposed to picking Torres here. Neither one of these guys is really amazing to me. And I pretty much agree with you. I do think it's a pick 'em fight. I've never been big on Javier Reyes. I think I'm going to pick him to win. He's on the full camp, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think it's a pick 'em. I don't know how you could get near this number on Javier Reyes, but just on a pure, percent chance to win the fight, I'll give Reyes like 54%.
Yeah, and that's like, and we got Javier Reyes at minus 200 right now. So it's if it goes a little more towards the Reyes side, I'm gonna have no choice. But I mean, this is a good fight. I just don't see either one of these guys getting a contract off this fight, or this necessarily should be in the Contender Series. But oh well. Speaking on the Contender Series, Sofia Montenegro La Bruja taking on Gisela Chavez, another fighter who is very hard to find tape on from Brazil. So they're just finding these like Brazilian Muay Thai fighters who just have no tape and are like booking horrendous competition. And yeah, I mean, it's just like 0-2, 0-2, 0-0, 0-0, 0-4. That's got to be the worst run in Contender Series history. And we've had some horrible runs with like Kevin Christensen and others. So other Brazilians, of course. Sofia Montenegro, we've seen some tape on her, I guess. You've been saying all night how everybody keeps. There is no exception here with Sofia Montenegro. It's the worst striking defense I've seen on out of a female fighter in all of my time covering the Contender Series. I'll say it right now. She might win this fight. That's great because I don't know what Chavez actually can do because she's never fought someone with UFC experience, with UFC win or MMA win experience, I should say. Fighting 0-4 fighters, 0-2 fighters, like 4 fights into her career with the fight promotion that she fights for, like the Fight Camp runs a fight promotion, Gomi's fight. We've kind of, I think most people have looked into it at this point. We've kind of gone into that. Yeah, this is just like, if you're picking Chavez, it's just it is a blind dog pick. I'm not betting any money on Montenegro, but she's shown she knows how to do all of MMA. So she's probably going to backpack Chavez for a little bit here, try to face cranker. And if Chavez feels like quitting, she might just quit in submission from Montenegro. Maybe it just turns into a knockout. Montenegro's like striking defense is horrific from the fight that I was able to watch. Like, she moves her face towards punches in a way I've not seen before. But yeah, I'll take Montenegro to win this fight. Submission ? And no, I'd never bet $1 of anybody's money on this fight.
Yeah, I first became aware of Montenegro, I think last year. I watched her on FFC, Argentinian prospect. I think she's out of the Performance Institute in Mexico.
Okay.
And, I like her aggression, but, you mentioned it. She is unbelievably hittable. And I think the fight you're talking about is that fight against Anila Perez,
Yes.
she's like a 1-3 fighter, and she was absolutely dotting her up in that fight. Montenegro has some decent takedown entries, but she's not going to be winning a lot of stand-up fights in the UFC, in my opinion, and in probably a lot of people's opinions. Definitely going to need to grapple here, I think, and I say that having not seen almost anything of Chavez because there's not a lot of tape. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say she's going to need to grapple here. She's had other fights where she looks like okay on the feet, but I think it's just a matter of the opponent, being a worse striker. I don't think it's any type of measurable improvement, really. And, Chavez has just fought absolutely no one, right? It's tough to make Montenegro's strength of schedule look strong, but it's stronger than Chavez's strength of schedule. And, you mentioned it. It seems like she's fighting primarily in a show that's like owned by the coach or the gym or something, that like Gomez FC thing. She's champion there for whatever that's worth. And, she won her last fight on Demo Fight. I think she's a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, has a little bit of Muay Thai experience. Listen, I think she can land some good shots on the feet because it seems like everybody can against Montenegro. But I do, kind of to your point, feel like she can get controlled on the ground and lose a decision. I think at this point in time, I have to kind of believe that Montenegro is the better MMA fighter, the better kind of full product right now. But yeah, I mean, why would you want to be involved in this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised it's only minus 215. Like, it makes me feel like there's something somebody knows maybe about this Chavez and her fight. I don't. Maybe it's hilarious to me. Sophia's Tapology picture has her with blood under her eye. It's just like each one should like have her face getting like more beat up, like the continuation screen at Street Fighter, where it's just like more and more fucked up every single time she fights. But yeah, I mean, why would get involved? Every other fight on this card, well, the last two are very good. So there's like 2 freak fights to start, and a weird veteran fight. Then another fight that could be on the PFL Challenger Series if it was still around, but it's not. So it's here on the Contender Series. Regular of the Challenger Series, the showcase, everything. Like, here he comes. He's coming soon. Brian Zerker of Mexico here, taking on Mirza Ali Magomedov. This is going to be a very good fight. Zercher's, been around for a while now, it feels like. Getting, some kind of favorable matchups at times over with the PFL Challenger Series. Broke David Evans, Dean Thompson protege there with like a face crank in one of his fights. He's a good fighter overall, though. very good boxer. He throws good leg kicks, has a good pace, good size. When he makes it down to 145, he's had some trouble. He's had to go up for some catch weights at times. Seemed to make weight okay, looked good on the scale today. Fights well while he's moving forward. I think it could be interesting in this fight against Magomedov how he defends the takedowns. That's not been really shown too much here in his career. So that's kind of a big question mark for me in this fight. If he is on his back foot too, I think he could struggle quite a bit. I do think he's kind of a pressure defender fighter. I think that's really going to be interesting here. I do like Zurcher in this spot. I think it's a pick 'em for a reason. I think this should be a very good fight. Obviously there's some times with Magomedov where, he in his last fight with Clausedis Brito, he definitely got caught early on in that fight quite a bit, got into a deep guillotine, fought out of it, looked good after that. I don't think I know he got that knockout against Brito. I don't want to use the L word. I hate to because he meant to hit him with that knee, but it's a little bit of a lucky knee. He's a long, technical striker. He's not going to knock you out with one shot necessarily. He did there again, but I just don't think he has the one knockout power normally. Not necessarily that Brian does either. I think this is going to be a good fight. It could just be who breaks who first, or it could come down to a takedown defense with Zurcher. I'm edging Zurcher here. I like him. I do like the stand-up. I think it's gotten better and better. And, on the ground here, he's no slouch either. But the takedown defense is a question mark for me.
Yeah, Zurcher, Mexican fighter, formerly signed to the PFL. He's undefeated at 9-0. And, PFL were kind of trying to build this guy up, right? They fed him some pretty easy matchups. Magomedov, on the other hand, he was champion in WEF, which is a Kyrgyz promotion, and he was champion in Octagon with a C, the Kazakh one, not Octagon with a K, the Czech one. Okay. So he's also undefeated at 9-0, and yeah, I mean Zurcher's a pretty good striker. Magomedov's striking also is decent. I don't know if it's quite as good, in my opinion. The striking defense also, I think, leaves a little bit to be desired at times. Zurcher also, we've seen him, like to mix in some wrestling, and we have seen Magomedov get taken down before, but he has pretty good get-ups, and he's kind of patient in bad positions and knows what to do. And we've also seen him, be dangerous with the submission game. We've seen him win with submissions from bottom, and he's a dangerous guy. He's finished all 9 of his fights, and seems like a good size for the weight. So yeah, I'm not really going to add too much more to what you said. I feel like this is kind of like a pick 'em fight as well. And Magomedov now, I think he's plus 125 now at Bet Online. So, I mean, that would be the side that I would probably look at. I'm not really sure if I want to get involved in this one myself, but yeah, I think I'm going to go dog or pass for this fight.
Yeah, and I mean, especially I got him yesterday. He's up to minus 145 now. I think money's going to be coming out on Zurcher's side. He's the familiar side. People have seen him fight 3-4 times now. I do like that he's been in that pressure situation of the Challenger Series where he's had to show out to be selected on the show. So he's kind of used to that sort of situation. I believe this is also Magomedov's U.S. debut as well. Zurcher has trained with some really good guys over the years as well, with some good camps. I know he's been with Islam others. So, there's a lot I do like about Zurcher here. I feel like the narrative of PFL want him, they let him go. It's a little bit overblown here. There's 2 sides to every negotiation as well. So yeah, we agree here. Plus 115 on the Magomedov side as of now. This is a really good fight. And I hope that whoever wins does get a contract. I think it's pretty good quality prospects there at 145. The 185 main event, very interesting one. Denis Barbier taking on Montes Kordovicius. This is Lithuania against Croatia. this very, very good, interesting fight. Two very high quality kickboxers here. Barbier probably has the more well rounded game of the two. He hasn't fought since 2024. He's kind of been inconsistent throughout his MMA career. He fought like starting in 2016, then 2019, like here or there. It's a little bit of a concern. He throws really nice straight shots. Very good, very, very powerful. Against his last opponent, I mean, he was just like absolutely beating the hell out of him. Like landed probably 20, 30 shots on the ground and just was so tired from beating him up. He just grabbed him and choked him out with that triangle. So, overall, I feel he's probably the better MMA fighter between him and Montes. Montes been in some wars as well, and come out victorious in most of those. He was choked out by Ogden a couple years ago with Arias. Ogden's a way better wrestler and grappler than Donnie Barbier is. So I feel like that's a loss that you get better from if you're Montes. He knocked out my boy Michael Chamo with Cage Warriors in his last fight. That broke my heart. Montes is a big boy, really big guy. Keeps a good pace, and I feel like earlier in his career he kind of was holding back a little bit of the power more than he has as he's gone on. He's gotten more confident and early. So I feel like he definitely could come in here and land one on Danny in the first round. Would not surprise me at all, especially with the timeout and the level of competition Danny's faced. So this is my second dog of the night. I'm taking Montes here, and I think he knocks him out in the first round.
Yeah, Barbier is 7-0 out of Croatia, fights at FNC and won 3 title fights over there at middleweight. And, he seems pretty confident. He's light on his feet, seems pretty fast standing. I really liked his ground and pound. I think he does a really good job when he gets to those positions. He's a good finisher. One thing I didn't like, his striking defense is it's not good. He gets hit in the head a lot. I think it's specifically bad in that area where he just he gets tagged in the face a little more and a little more cleanly than you'd like to see. So he can get a little wild, but he is really dangerous, and I do think he's going to be the one on the front foot here. It seems like he's really into pressuring guys up against the cage. Kondratovicius on the other side is a kickboxer, and his one loss was on Aries to the now middleweight champ over there, and he won his last fight that you mentioned against Chemu on Cage Warriors in under a minute. Really good clinch knees. I think he has a little bit tighter boxing, good clinch game, has a little grappling as well. And yeah, I could definitely see him winning this fight, but I think I'm going to go with the dynamism and the wow factor of Barbier in this one. But it's not one that is really easy to feel good about because, as I mentioned, Kondratovicius, I think, is going to be able to find a home for a lot of his shots because, Barbier gets hit, but I do think also he can kind of create something out of nothing. He's the type of guy that, is that type of a dynamic fighter that can just pull something out of his ass and win.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I mean, now minus 130 or whatever it is, I'm good. I'm good. But, that's the side that I'm going to edge towards.
Very good. Yeah, I think this is going to be the most disagreements we've had all season for this
Could be.
episode. So I think it's a super competitive card. Yeah, I mean, Rafael Tobias we're both on because we've seen him fight. So great. But yeah, are you on? So you're on Reyes as of now.
I'm gonna pick. Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's great. That's fine. Yeah, Justice Torres, and I'm close to betting him, but honestly, we'll see. Both on Sofia Montenegro again, kind of the Rafael Tobias pick there. So we'll see how that goes. We've seen him fight. Both on, I'm on Zercher, you're on Dogger Pass there, and then Montes for me and Danny in the main event. So lots of intrigue on our end there. And
Indeed.
Yeah. Any bets for you as of now for this?
No, there's not. There's just not a ton of spots that are really jumping off the page, to be honest. I mean, I think there's value on the board, but I don't know. Over the years, I've gotten a little more conservative on what I like to bet on regionals and Contender Series and stuff. And if I don't love it, I don't usually bet it. So
It's not a bad way to go at all. As of now, I am leaning towards that Torres bet. The over 2.5. Also is at -166. I feel like that's rather safe as well. I just feel like two guys who definitely could make that go the distance. Other than that, no bets for me as of now either, other than Zurcher, who is at a price that is now unbettable from 2 days ago, so it's kind of useless. Like I'm gonna pick him a couple days ago. So and I know that 2 cents is on the Magomedov side, so
is he okay?
yeah,
Two
so
cents had a big week last week, I
that's
think,
right. 2 cents
if I remember
cleaned up
correctly.
last
He
week.
did.
And Ewo better himself, not listening
Hmm.
to any advice. But good for him. So yeah, I'm going against the Contender Series master, who's on Pub Sports Radio. So you can go ahead and check them out tomorrow night. They're gonna have a Contender Series watch along show over there. So shout out to 2 cents and shout out to Moise. Shout out to Stubborn Mick. We'll figure out whose forehead and teeth those are one day. But for Lucky Locks picks for myself, we'll be back next week with week 8 of the Contender Series. Good luck, everybody, and peace out.